continue our 2024 preview by studio, next up is a juicy one, Disney, where 2024 is going to be all about course correction. In fact, for this year, Disney is only set to release 7 films, 4 of them under the Fox label. That's incredible. That means only 3 Disney movies, Disney proper movies, are set for 2024. Typically, pre-pandemic, the studio used to release about a movie a month. And as we've discussed, many moviegoers made that their most moviegoers go once a month to the movies. I know for us film fans, that's hard to believe or understand, but it's true. Most people go once a month. And prior to the pandemic and all the political drama that they've had as well, the Disney movie was their pick. So Disney released 1 movie a month, and that's the movie that most people saw. But that has not become the case anymore. And as Disney again course corrects, this year, only 3 Disney proper films. Whew, in the past, the Mouse House has been an impressive machine, a factory, love it or hate it. But now all of their divisions are barely operational, if at all. This year they have no Star Wars movie, no Avatar movie, no theme park movie, only 1 Marvel movie, and only 1 live-action animation adaptation. Both of their animation houses should be delivering a picture each, although they have not announced Disney Animation's movie that's supposed to come out for Thanksgiving. Remember, Disney Animation is supposed to own Thanksgiving, yet there has been no talk about what that film is going to be. They might not even still be releasing one, as at the top of the year, Disney did not mention a Disney animated film as part of their 2024 slate. They didn't even mention a placeholder for that date. And nobody would blame Disney Animation, by the way, if they wanted to take a short break to, again, course correct. It's also worth noting that while the theatrical slate is very light, there's going to be plenty of content on Disney Plus this year. A total of 5 Marvel shows: Echo, which already came out, Agatha Darkhold Diaries, and then 3 animated shows: Eyes of Wakanda, X-Men 97, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And then on top of that, 4 Star Wars shows: The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and then 2 of these are going to be animated: The Bad Batch Season 3 coming up very soon, and Tales of the Jedi Season 2, although that's very much just for we Star Wars fans, although I'm sure some adults are like, I like it. Now, Disney has had a problem of audiences deciding to wait for theatrical releases until they hit Disney Plus at no extra cost, even willing to wait out the digital release. A lot of audiences are willing to wait not just a month or a month and a half, but like 3 months or more to watch this stuff for free, or again, no extra cost, on Disney Plus. So it seems like an interesting strategy, that Disney would give you plenty of content on their streaming service to keep you occupied while you wait for the theatrical movies to hit streaming. You'd think they'd be like, hey, there ain't no Disney content, head to the theater. But they're like, hey, don't worry, you got between Marvel and Star Wars, you've got 9 shows that you can watch. Plus, I'm sure other content as well. So again, as I said, that's an interesting choice. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them. However, I would still say that 3 of their 7 theatrical releases seem like must-sees to me. The Disney ones, the Disney proper ones. And I'll be curious to see how many of the theatrical releases you feel are truly theater-worthy, or if you'll wait for Disney Plus. But first, before we take a look at the movies that Disney is releasing this year, let's take a look at what's happening in the executive suite. Oh, there's a lot happening in the executive suite. Right now, there is an intense battle over Disney's board of directors, with Nelson Peltz, a real-life Disney villain, and he's like a sidekick to the real villain, which is Isaac Perlmutter, former owner and head of Marvel, hell-bent on revenge, particularly against Bob Iger, but over the Disney company in general, because they fired him, they kicked him out, even though he still owns a ton of stock, and that's how he's able to still be a threat. And they're now joined by former Disney top-ranked executive, Jay Rasulo. Peltz's Treon, his company, which owns $3 billion in Disney stock, has nominated Peltz and Rasulo to the Disney board. And now it's up to the shareholders, that could be you, on whether or not to give them some seats. Bob Iger was able to hold off Peltz's bid for the board before, going so far as to reveal Perlmutter's backing, and that this was a personal vendetta. But since then, and it really is though, but hey, it doesn't matter if it's a personal vendetta. I mean, if it's effective, that's the real issue. And the problem is that since that, even though Bob Iger was, as I just said, originally able to hold off this attempted coup, or at least foothold, since then he has not managed to turn the stock around. And Peltz and company are reasonably banking on shareholders feeling that something drastic needs to be done. But really, what has been done? Iger has gone on a bit of an apology tour, but right now, only the only Disney division that's performing well is the theme parks, and that's thanks to the overseas theme parks. Even the domestic parks are struggling. Iger has backing from another major shareholder, Blackwell's Capital, which is friendly with Iger and has nominated their own 3 candidates to the board. And they are doing a lot of the campaigning against Peltz and Rasulo. Disney's trying to stay out of it, even though they were like, we hate these 2 guys, don't vote for them. But then they're letting, Blackwell's is like the VP candidate in an election. They're going the dirty route, saying, these guys are ridiculous. Next up, Disney has a financial report due on February 7th. That's right around the corner. And the 2024 Disney shareholder meeting, where shareholders will vote on the proposed board members, that's set for spring, but no exact date is set yet, interestingly enough, even though that's such an important meeting. Elsewhere, while Ron DeSantis was not able to use his war with Disney as a road to the White House, the results of that still linger. Disney finds itself embroiled in multiple lawsuits against the state of Florida trying to reverse what's happened. And they have far more oversight over their parks than other theme parks and many other special districts. There are a ton of special districts in Florida that enjoy pretty much being, their own little states within a state. But only Disney now finds itself in a very, a vendetta type position, which is I think they have a very good case. But unfortunately for them, they have to try it in Florida. Disney is still, unfortunately, a popular clickbait punching bag for toxic pundits and politicians. And that sentiment has spread and sunk in to meaningful corners of the fandom, which is having, I think, a result on an effect on the Disney brand. The best thing Disney can do to combat this, besides the lawsuits, but that just creates more drama. The best thing that they can do is to get back to producing hits. Way too many of their 2023 films failed to connect with critics or audiences, so there's tremendous pressure on the division heads to deliver this year. Although again, Star Wars is not delivering a film for the 5th year in a row. Come on, get a movie out already. So let's take a look at all the other divisions' best shots. Kevin Feige has just one film set for 2024, but it might just be a silver bullet. Whew, here's hoping. Unfortunately, Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts are both pushed to 2025, both because they need to be significantly reworked. Major reshoots for Captain America, and then a major revision of the script for Thunderbolts. But hey, do it! It worked for Rogue One, and while Multiverse of Madness was still kind of crappy after its reshoots and being reworked, WandaMania still powered the movie to close to $1 billion. Why is Wanda benched? Why does the Agatha show feature a rainbow of witches, but not Scarlet? It's ridiculous. All right, so anyway, Deadpool 3 is the Fox Marvel version of No Way Home, spearheaded by Ryan Reynolds, as business savvy as he is hilarious. There were a lot of leaks, but now that the filming has wrapped, thankfully, they did manage in the end to keep a lot still hidden, or at least only whispered about and not actually seen. And I do think that Ryan Reynolds' plea did, a little bit like they used to plea to not have spoilers once the film was released, has at least cut back on some of the coverage of the leaks. It worked for No Way Home. That was a leaky ship, but still, it's still, for the most part, you hadn't seen what you heard about. So that got people really, really excited. I wonder if they won't confirm some of the appearances in the film until it's released, just like Sony did. Sony never confirmed Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield for the movie. Never were in a poster prior to release. They weren't in any trailers. They weren't even on the red carpet for the film's premiere. So we'll see. We'll see if Disney takes a page from that playbook. It worked. It really worked. Deadpool 3 needs to come in at around $1 billion. It can be a little shy. It's a tough time, but it's got to be like Multiverse of Madness close. Like it's still in the 900 million range. And it seems to be poised to do that. July 26th isn't the greatest date for that, I'm afraid, but hopefully the movie is so good it doesn't matter when it's released. And I think it might be. But if only it could have kept that May 3rd release date. But it is what it is. Next, Pixar's return to box office glory. Here's hoping Inside Out 2. Considering, though, that the trailer instantly became the most watched trailer ever for Disney animation, beating out Frozen 2 right after it came out, I'd say the odds are pretty good that Pixar can get back to being a box office juggernaut and out of the rut, the Disney Plus rut that the pandemic and Bob Chapek got them stuck in. And a little bit themselves. I think that Soul was really incredible, but those other movies weren't, I think, at the level that you would expect for a Pixar movie. They were good, but they weren't like theatrical level. Maya Hawke as Anxiety is a huge get for this sequel. That's amazing. And we're all very excited to see what other emotions are in store and who will be voicing them. I hope they're all at that level because that's incredible. That even makes me interested, and I hated the first movie. Pixar, and everybody loves a party, and I think the excitement about this film is pretty great. Pixar Animation's last box office hit was back in 2019 with Toy Story 4. And sure, there was the whole Disney Plus thing in the middle there, but Lightyear was a total bomb. And Elemental, while it eventually rallied, still got nowhere near what original Pixar films are supposed to do box office-wise. But at least it got an Oscar nomination. At least Disney Animation couldn't do it this year. Then, while Snow White has been pushed to 2025, again, take the time to make it right. Disney has one live-action adaptation left for this year, and that is the sequel to 2019's The Lion King. Now, while audience complaints about live-action adaptations have gotten louder and louder, I mean, some of them still make $1 billion, but Disney has really lowballed a couple of them, where you're like, come on, man. This Mufasa prequel, though, is an all-new story, which is an unusual risk for Disney to take, who usually prefer to play it ultra-safe. Sometimes we feel too safe. Add to that Oscar winner Barry Jenkins at the helm and a late December release date where summer-themed blockbusters have typically thrived. Those are very good odds for the film. Now, if Jeff Nathanson can just nail this script, I mean, it could be another $1 billion film, but look at Jeff Nathanson's resume. Who picked this guy to write Mufasa, by the way? I mean, he did write the 2019 version, but I would say write is a very loose term here because he was just adapting the animated movie, which, by the way, he did not write. So these are the three movies still, even though they're not guaranteed either, but these are the three movies that I think are theater worthy. Even if they're not great, I think it's going to be hard for you to resist seeing them in theaters. Now, tell me if you think I'm underestimating any of these other films. And by the way, those are the only Disney proper movies for the year. So hello, Fox! All right, so now while Avatar 3 had to be pushed for a year due to the strikes, Mufasa got its December release date, Disney is mobilizing three other major franchises from their acquisition of Fox. Planet of the Apes, Alien, and The Omen. Then there's one other Fox movie. You might be like trying to do the math in your head. There's one more Fox movie, but it's not an IP. All right, I know, right? What? No IP from a major studio. Is that still happening? It is. All right, so Wes Ball must be great in a pitch meeting because the director of the Maze Runner movies, which only got worse, by the way, they were okay, but he somehow managed to get not only the new Planet of the Apes, which I kind of understand, but how the heck did he get the Legend of Zelda live-action movie over at Sony? I mean, maybe the Planet of the Apes footage is really great or something? I'm amazed. No Matt Reeves, no Andy Serkis, and no big names to replace them, so we'll see just how resilient this franchise is. Disney blinked and moved this off of the overcrowded Memorial Day weekend, and I don't blame them. Get out of there. And this movie now comes out May 10th, which is just a week after the May 3rd Deadpool 3 date they had to give up and that Universal's The Fall Guy took instead. Now that seems maybe like a good move to me. Maybe this could be the start of the summer if Fall Guy doesn't connect. And Ryan Gosling, still not a guarantee at the box office. But it's worth noting that just a month prior, there's another giant ape pick coming out, Warner Brothers' Godzilla x Kong. So I think those are really close together. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, even if Godzilla x Kong is awful, some of that stink might wipe off on Planet of the Apes. We'll see. Would you have put those two movies so close together? I think they're too close. Unless you love ape movies, then you're in ape movie heaven. As for the new Alien movie, the bar isn't set too high here because this was supposed to be a Hulu movie. Just like, Mean Girls was supposed to be a Paramount Plus movie, but they decided to do a theatrical release anyway. That's real nice for the movie and all, but it still gives you some idea of where you should set your expectations. Disney decided to give this a theatrical release now in mid-August, the month for wild card potential blockbusters. But a lot of times those movies don't make it. Fede Alvarez certainly has his fans and the backing of Sam Raimi, but not on this movie. But he already botched his first big franchise gig, The Girl in the Spider's Web, and he really botched it. Ew, and I don't think anybody can even defend him on that. It was just not good. His Alien movie but he can own this because he's a co-writer on it. His Alien movie seems to play so far very much like a teen slasher with this cast, but at least it takes place between the first two Aliens. I'm glad we're done with the prequel business. And hopefully gets back to the truckers in space aesthetic that worked so well for the franchise and set it apart. As for The First Omen, it's a prequel to the iconic 1976 horror film. That's a scary one. That's very scary. 1970 horror films hit different. They seemed almost like documentaries, which made them all the more terrifying. But can it really make a dent at the box office when The Conjuring has become the religious horror brand? They even have their own hugely popular nun spin-off series, so it might be too many nuns. Finally, Disney also has The Amateur, also under the Fox banner. This is the original IP. It's not even an IP, or maybe it could turn into an IP. I could see maybe it being like a Bourne if they wanted it to be. But with Rami Malek, isn't that cool? It's a political cyber thriller starring Malek and Rachel Brosnahan. And after seeing Oscar winner Malek given just a few lines in Oppenheimer, that was so bizarre, and then not sticking the landing as a Bond villain, he should have been great in that. It's great to see him get I don't know whose fault that was, but it was unfortunate. It's great to see him get another big opportunity with a lead role like this. I hope it works out great. The film is based on a 1981 book that was made into a film at that time that I don't think anyone's really seen, except maybe one of you is like, I've seen it, Grace. And it co-starred Christopher Plummer. All right, so that's Disney's 2024 slate. What do you think of these movies that are coming out? Do you think any of these are theater worthy, or do you think you'll wait for Disney Plus / Hulu? At that point, they might be one service. What do you think of all the Disney Plus content they're releasing at the same time? And also the drama at the executive level. What course do you think Disney should be correcting to? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.